What's going on, Drinking Buddies? Brand new podcast coming right at you. But first, let's do some ads. First and foremost, we are brought to you by the video versions of this very podcast. Experience the madness in full HD, ad-free on Vimeo at ANWD.net/videos. 99 cents an episode or $6 a month gets you all 92 episodes unlimited streaming. Just have to tell you that occasionally nudity does happen on this show, and the nudity is preserved when it has happened. So, go hunt for those Easter eggs. But seriously, getting the video versions also really does help support this show. So check those out today at ANWD.net/videos. Once again, that's ANWD.net/videos. We are also brought to you by my Twitch stream. That's right. I stream video games every Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and apparently Fridays now. Playing a lot of Among Us, started up an XCOM 2 campaign, doing a whole bunch of stuff. Come hang out in the chat. Throw a subscription if you can. We have a lot of fun with it. We have a whole Discord going. Come on by. Twitch.tv/MattFNSlayer. Once again, that's Twitch.tv/MattFNSlayer. My guest this week is adult performer Aria Khaide. Aria and I talk about what she wants to do when the pandemic's over, what it's like to be sharing a house with her husband, her 2 children, while still being an active performer. Pizza. We definitely talked about pizza. And sports. So sit back, relax, pop a cold one, and enjoy, Drinking Buddies. Go.
Yeah. Cheers, pro, salute, Davo, and everything in between.
Hell yeah. I guess I'm just killing this bottle.
Oh, yeah. Elijah Craig. Nice.
Good stuff.
Yeah. We're bourbon, whiskey, scotch drinkers in this house, too. So.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I don't know how people couldn't be. I don't understand it.
They're not real people. They must be robots.
Right. And not like fun Futurama robots, because Futurama robots are on alcohol.
No, that's true. It's true. Nothing fun. Not the fun kind.
Right. Vodka? I mean, vodka has its place, but it's
when you're like 18 and hiding it in a Poland Spring bottle to get into parties,
Right. It's like, oh yeah, this is totally water.
This is water. I swear to drunk, I'm not God. Okay.
Oh my God. I just need to put some some cranberry juice for my water, please.
No, we would just straight chug those bad boys. The wasp life in suburbia New Jersey.
Oh no, I definitely had friends who did that. Like, when we were broke, roll into the bar with just fucking.
Oh yeah.
It's like,
hockey games, you got the airplane bottles in your boots, like being a girl wearing high boots, you got the airplane bottles in your boots, For my large-chested friends, they'd put it here,
Have you ever seen those bras that you can fill with wine?
Yes. We're going to get them for my girlfriend's bachelorette party. Because with COVID and everything, we can't really do anything. So we kind of have to just do a safe house party. So we're just going to get all of the stereotypical, stupid, basic girl stuff to try to make it silly and fun,
Hell yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, we just kind of dove right into this. But
yeah.
Let's get the pleasantries out of the way. Aria, how the hell are you doing?
I am doing well. I'm trying to stay warm. It is snowing here currently in New Jersey. So I've got myself a little lemon lavender with a little bit of Jack Daniels and a little bubbly to make me, warm up a little bit. But how about you?
I'm doing well. It's unseasonably cold here in Los Angeles. It's 57 degrees.
Take off like 30 degrees, and that's how cold it is in Jersey right now. So
I'm originally a Chicago guy. I know what a real winter is.
Yeah, okay. But you don't know what real pizza is.
Oof. Gauntlet thrown down.
Jersey won. Chicago still.
No. They each have their places. New York style pizza has its place.
It's very true. It's very true.
the traditional Chicago pizza isn't the fucking deep dish. Like, deep dish is a once in the blue moon you get deep dish.
Yeah.
Generally, it's the tourists who are like, ooh, deep dish. No, real Chicago pizza is thin as hell, cut into squares
Yeah.
with a crackery, like, crust. Like, that's real Chicago pizza.
Yeah. I always laugh whenever I'm watching TV. I just actually binge the Netflix show Episodes with Matt LeBlanc. I don't know if you've seen it. And it always sounds really funny when you preface things with, there's this really great show with Matt LeBlanc. And everyone's like, okay.
Oh,
but
yeah.
It was actually hilarious. And I absolutely loved it. But the pizza that they bought on their pizza nights, my husband and I are cringing. We're like, this is LA pizza. Because no one that knows real pizza would be like, oh, that's the best pizza. That's a pizza night,
Yeah. But yeah, you have people who live in LA as the writers. You have LA cast. They're like, this is great.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
being in LA, there are a couple good spots that are decent. Like,
yeah,
it's not all bad. I mean, there's a lot of fucking bad
I'm
pizza.
sure it's like anywhere, right? It's the same thing with like Chinese food or Mexican, and it also has to do with your taste too. Some people want like Tex-Mex, some people want more Spanish, so it's rice and beans on its own, pizza crust, pizza, sauce, gravy, marinara, what are you gonna so that's a whole nother, right?
I actually got pizza from like a place here that does decent New York style last night. So
there's a lot of places that will actually ship their water from New Jersey to the pizzeria so that it's New York style, because it's the dough and it's the water, and everyone thinks, oh, Jersey's dirty, like that's disgusting, Jersey water, when actually into Newark Airport, that's not New Jersey. We've got like the Garden State, so we've got mountains, and we've got some really nice areas that are all rural, so we have really crystal clean water. Go figure.
right. Newark, all that Edison, all that area is basically just New York.
Yeah, it's like flying into any airport, really. You wouldn't want people to base, everything on your state from an airport, if that's going to be an industrial area.
100%. 100%. Yeah, you can't I don't even think you could say you've been to the state if you've like had a layover.
Except for Detroit, actually. The Detroit airport blew my mind because I had no idea what to expect. And I fly into Detroit and I'm like, what the heck is this luxury mall in this airport right now?
With the second level SkyTrain.
Yeah. I was like, what? I've never seen this, where there's, designer handbag stores. Like I'm walking into like a Mall of America, or, out here we have the Short Hills Mall, or, one of the Westfield malls. It's like, wow, I didn't know this was the experience that I'm trying to have right now.
Oh, I know. The Detroit airport is like deceptively nice. And the Delta Lounge is self-service, so.
Ooh.
I had many a layover at that airport.
I bet, yeah. Yeah, I had a layover there once because I was visiting an ex who was in the military. So my layover was there. And I was like, oh God, like it was the first time I'm traveling by myself. And I've gotten better, but I'm definitely like Kristen Wiig's character in Bridesmaids, when she's like, there's something you're not telling us. There's a colonial woman. Did you feel that? Every time there's turbulence, oh, fuck, I'm so sorry. Where their kids are, oh, fuck, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. That's me on the plane. So the good thing about COVID is that first class tickets are peanuts. So, and I have points, so I've been cashing them in so that I'm like, okay, at least when I'm flying out to LA, I can lay down and I won't sleep, but I can at least hold on to a bed versus like sitting up like this. So that's always comical.
Oh, the bed seats are the fucking best.
Mm-hmm. They're peanuts. I mean, when I flew to AVN last year, which was my first AVN, the ticket per person was easily $800. For a first class ticket from New Jersey all the way to LA, it was $400 for a lay down seat. That's unheard of.
Right.
It was like absolutely crazy. And I have, like I said, I had points and I had canceled flights from when lockdown all happened. So I'm like, all right, I'm cashing these in, and there's no change fees because it's during, COVID. So a basic coach cancellation ticket is the equivalent of a cross country first class ticket. It's like, why wouldn't I,
See, now you're making me want to go cash in some points and go somewhere. I know that'd be wildly responsible. See, I haven't spent too much time in Jersey. Like, I
Mhm.
went out for some of the Edison Exoticas, in the past.
Yeah.
Um,
The best party of all the Exoticas, in my opinion. Yeah.
Edison used to be a real good time. Like when I went Chicago, like the early years of the Chicago Exoticas were fucking
Mhm.
wild. Yeah, especially because that
Yeah.
was home. So like,
Yeah.
I drag people out, be like, no, we're not going to the official parties. I know people. We're gonna,
Yeah. Yeah. This is the real. Yeah.
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 It's been a couple of years since I've gone, and it's just they're not the same. I feel like the prevalence of the internet has made it like people less willing to spend the money to go see people in person.
Yeah. New Jersey has always been packed every year that I went. I went to Portland. Technically, that was last year, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Time is like, what was a year ago? It was 2 years ago. It's so hard. But Portland was absolutely dead when I went. It's also the first year, and there were like 5 other expos going on. But the good thing about that is I got to meet fellow performers and actually talk to them. And I probably wouldn't have had that same opportunity if fans were all over the place, So that, like, I can say that, Lexi Luna is pretty much, my bestie right now in the industry. And that wouldn't have happened, if we weren't directly across from each other in the traffic, being so slow. And same with Jillian Jansen, was talking to her nonstop, but she was right next to me, and we've all become fast friends, which is really nice.
I know Jillian. She's great. Like,
she's so much fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and unfortunately for the Exotica guys, like the first year shows have pretty much gone like that on most of them. Like I went to the 1 year they did Columbus, Ohio, and that was pretty dead.
Yeah, I think it's hard to. Portland is the strip club capital, so it's nothing new. Whereas in New Jersey, we don't really have anything like that. And it's not like you're in porn capital, like if you're on the West Coast. So everyone is coming from the Northeast to Exotica to get that taste, I think, which is why best parties in New Jersey.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's why Edison's been like the flagship forever. In places like Miami, the Miami shows have been fun. Like, don't get me wrong. I've had a lot of fun when Exotica was in Miami, but there's a reason that they had to move to Fort Lauderdale and then canceled it for a couple of years because the attendance wasn't there. Like, especially when the show was on South Beach. It's like, you're on fucking South Beach. Yes, there's beautiful women in here, but you can walk 10 feet and there are fucking beautiful women.
Yeah. It's true.
And the ones on the beach, you might have a chance of actually like taking home.
Taking them home.
You're not taking home anyone from Exotica, especially on that side of the booth.
No. Unless you're tested and you ask my husband. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, your inbox, your poor inbox right now. It's
no, yeah, I know. Boop, 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 boop.
It's like just screenshots of test results. Like, I'm good. What's your husband?
Yeah.
I need to have your husband now.
I wasn't talking about COVID only, guys. Okay, I wasn't talking about your SAT scores. No, just kidding.
I think anyone who's gonna slide into your DMs, be like, oh yeah, I want to perform with you. Probably not the highest SAT scores.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I was an Ivy Leaguer, so to each their own.
Oh no, there are plenty of very intelligent performers. I'm not.
No, I'm just kidding. yeah. Oh yeah, no. I always joke that whenever that whole thing of I want to perform, I want to do this, I want to do that, and I'm like, okay, well, gotta pay your dues, A, and B. I think what people don't realize is there's a script. And when the producer wants you to pop at between minute 20 and 23, you got to pop between minute 20 and 23, whether you think that girl's the hottest thing since sliced bread or you think you would never touch her with a 10-foot pole when you were out, And it's like, okay, well, I need you to be able to do every single position, get rock hard no matter what the girl looks like. And at minute 23, I need you to pop. Ready, set, go. Oh, and by the way, these are the hottest girls that have the best head game and the best, wet ass pussies out there. So you then also have to hold it for 23 minutes on top of that. So,
and do it while guys like me are standing there with a camera right next to you.
Yeah, or like the POV, like over your shoulders, right. Like, hey, how are you doing? The Hey Arnold, heavy breathing, like on your neck while you're trying to.
yeah, under hot lights, with performers who may not be into you. Like, you may be super into the girl you're working with, and she may not give a flying fuck about you.
And if you're making that girl do anal, she hasn't had anything to eat, so she's not happy. She's hungry. Not that she doesn't enjoy it, but you know, when a girl's hangry for an anal day, that's a whole nother beast.
Yeah, I like to tell people all the time, it's like any other job. There's some days you show up to work and it's fucking amazing. There's some days you show up to work and it's shit. And, you know, you may get a partner who showed up to what is a shit day to work for whatever reason. And you still have to be able to fucking perform. She still has to be able to perform.
Yeah.
There's a reason not every guy can fucking do the job.
No, it's true. It's hard. You know, everyone has that pressure. Me, I'm lucky. I'm always horny and I'm always, that's why I've tagged myself the greedy slut, because I'm ready to rumble at all times, you know? And I love that high energy because like you said, it could be a shit day. And maybe that one time that my co-star comes in and has a shit day and I'm like, hey, I'm so excited. We're going to have fun. Like, oh my God, you're so sexy is all that my co-star needed to be like, all right, I'm sexy. Yeah, this is going to be fun, you know, and you can get into that. Because my first ever girl shoot, I was super nervous and it was with Sarah St. Clair. And I've watched her, you know, before I ever got in the industry. She's like, this is Sarah St. Clair. Oh my gosh. She turns, she looks at me, you know, we're getting dressed, you know, stripping down, She up and downs me and goes, I'm going to lick the fuck out of your pussy. And I'm like, yes. I'm like, this is perfect. You know, so that just like stuck with me that I knew, okay, that moment I felt like $1,000,000 and I want to, you know, like pay it forward. The greedy slut, pay it forward. You know?
It's so good. Oh, Sarah's great.
I love her. Yeah. She's so much fun. So much fun. First time she ever met my husband, you know, if you ever want me to suck your dick, you know, we could share your dick. And of course my husband's like, you know,
so
but she's
happen?
Just so much fun. Not yet. Hasn't happened yet. I know. Because it's always, you know, when we're running into each other at an expo or we're trying to make our schedules work, you know. We were also out, you know, having a boozy brunch in Hoboken. So it was one of those like, I think it would be frowned upon if we did it, you know, right on the Hudson River right now.
Boo. There's bathrooms. You can just lock the door, you know.
I know. See, one thing is I am such a rule follower. I can't help it. Even when we went to AVN last year, you know, they send you the list of the rules. Like you're not supposed to be exposing your parts. I'm walking in there, covering myself up, walking in. Meanwhile, my husband turns and looks at me. He's like, everyone is naked. Like, why are you following? I'm like, I'm a rule follower. I can't help it. It's a programming. I will follow the rules. So finally, the last day, I'm like, I'll wear lingerie the last day. And then I'm like, you know, taking my top off with paces. I said, see, look, now I can do it. I just wanted 2 days of, you know, making sure that I'm not going to be that person, you know.
Yeah. I totally get it. Especially if your first AVN, the last thing you want is like, oh, I got kicked off the floor because, you know, I wore something inappropriate.
Especially coming from like Exotica too. All of my experiences have been with Exotica, and Exotica does have strict rules, especially in New Jersey. So
for people who have never attended an Exotica, actually almost any of the shows, there's generally a police presence walking around enforcing the rules.
Yeah.
Believe me, I've definitely broken a bunch of rules at Exotica Jersey because there's supposed to be no alcohol on the floor. And I definitely have smuggled.
That's the hardest. Everyone walking in is like, what? Like VIP doesn't get alcohol? What? He's like, no, welcome to Jersey. Like, our liquor licenses would put everyone out of business and they would never come. You know?
Yeah, actually every Exotica Jersey I went to, I definitely smuggled bottles into the club booth. I was working for someone at club, you know, at the club spotlight. I don't even know. It's probably the Bad Dragon spotlight at this point. Like the major booth in the middle.
Yep.
Because there's couches back there. So it's just like, go back there, like pour a drink.
Yeah, usually everyone brings like a stash because they're not going to heckle girls bringing their stuff in or bringing water bottles in so they can last 6 hours at a booth after they've just shot, you know, which is what I do. I shoot like 5 scenes and then I show up to the floor for like 5 hours. And I'm like, why did I do that to myself? There's like a cream pie dripping out of me as I'm shaking fans' hands, you know, I'm like, sorry, I was really late. Oh, sorry. That's authentic. How are you? You know?
That will be extra, sir.
Yeah.
Right. This is a one-of-a-kind fan experience.
Yeah, right. Interactive. All the senses. Like the touch tunnel in you know, Liberty Science Center, one of those, you know, the science, like, okay, close your eyes. What do you feel now?
So back to like your education. What did you go to school for originally?
So I originally went to school. First, I was an athlete, and then I was recruited for 2 sports. I was a D1 athlete. cross country and lacrosse. And then I realized, oh, I'm supposed to be getting a degree, not just being an athlete hooligan, drinking and fucking everything that moves. So originally I went to school for neuropsychology with a minor in kinesiology. And then I ended turning it into kinesiology. So I was a kinesiology major. Got my kinesiology degree, also got my certification as a phys ed, health, sex ed, and driver ed teacher. So I was a phys ed and sex ed teacher before I was in the industry.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Are you ever worried that, like, if you decide to transition out of the industry, you won't be able to go back to that?
I would never want to go back to it.
Okay.
To be completely honest. There are a couple people that I think in the industry, including Lexi, that have been teachers before, and we pretty much all agree that we never want to go back. The unions are horrible. Being a teacher, I don't mind, I love the coaching. I coached, for 10 years at all levels, from peewees all the way through college. I coached and I loved that aspect, but having to deal with the teacher coworkers, they are 10 times cattier than students and 10 times more with gossip, and it just wasn't the right fit for me. And I had that awakening, especially when I had our first child. So I would never go back to that. Maybe I would train, maybe I would coach. But I always joke that the way I want to die is I want to die fucking my husband. And I die so that some poor EMT kid has to see my old lady rigor mortis naked body and has to deal with that. So then it's here's that image spot. I know that's horrible, but that's how I want to die. I want to die having sex. So.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with it. We all got to go one of these days, so you might as well do something you're enjoying.
I want to die because the O was just too powerful for my poor little old lady heart.
So you want to go first? You don't want to have to deal with being a widow.
I wouldn't want to deal with being a widow. You would never want to go first, because then that hopefully the agony or the sadness that your family would go through because of that loss. But, we could always book it and just die at the same time, from just that pow, that bang.
He pops, you both pop.
Yep. There we go. Yeah.
The kids get some therapy afterwards.
Hopefully they're not around. Hopefully they're out of the house and, have their own family, so they won't be the ones finding us,
Yeah. Because even as adult children, that'd be a little traumatic.
It's I always said I would rather know that my parents are having a healthy sex life than sleeping in separate bedrooms. That's just me.
I agree with that. It's kind of a bummer to be like, oh, man, my parents were miserable in the last years of their life. Fuck that.
Yeah, exactly. I want to know that, looking at my mother, my dad still gets Twitter pated and vice versa. Yeah.
Right? They're getting the whole human experience all the way through.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've often said, if my dick stopped working, I'm not sure how much longer I'd be for this world.
Yeah. Well, apparently, they can get depressed. Dicks and pussies can get depressed, and you can actually be put on antidepressants because of it.
Huh.
Yeah. So always make sure that you're, telling it how nice it is. You got to look down and be like, thanks so much. I joke, got to look in the mirror and be like, thanks for taking that huge dick, pussy. You're amazing. I love you. You got to pump her up or pump him up, whatever.
Life wouldn't be the same without you.
Exactly. Thank you for just taking my hand again. I love it. Yeah.
For the rain or shine, you're here for me, buddy. I love you.
You're the one that got me through COVID.
I think most of responsible America is saying that at this point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
COVID life been difficult, being in the house with your husband, your kids,
It's definitely been tough. My husband works from home. I'm homeschooling our kids too, because they're young. They're 3 and 4. So I'm not having them in a preschool, wearing masks and everything all day. That just isn't, what they need, socially or emotionally or anything. So it's hard that they know that he's in the house and they think that he's home, but yes, he's physically home, but he's working. So, leave him alone in his office. And, there obviously are times where there's cabin fever. When it's 25 degrees out and windy as all hell, I'm not going to take the kids out because it's freezing, but we've all got cabin fever. So it's definitely been tough. And, scheduling, everything is off. I'm not dropping them off at school because our schools aren't in session. Babysitters also now are pretty much gone because all parents are in the same boat. So it's definitely very, very hard to find. I don't have alone time ever, except if I go to a shoot. And a lot of times I'm home all day as mommy, as wife, getting everything done. And then I'll go shoot at night. And then when I come home, got like 2-3 hours to sleep, and then it started all over again. Or I'll travel for a couple days. If I go to LA or Vegas, I travel for just say 3 to 5 days, fly there. I take the red eye home. I arrive at 6 a.m. here. I walk in the door just before the kids wake up. I shower, and now I'm mommy again. So it's definitely hard. And I think it was probably harder in the beginning because we didn't know what was going to happen. And the lockdown started right before my birthday. My birthday's 4/20. So it was even more like,
Oof.
I can't even celebrate my birthday. This is, hard. So it's gotten, I don't want to say it's gotten better, but it's gotten easier,
I totally get that. As you become acclimated to it, it's like we as humans are so adaptable.
Yeah. It's crazy. How about you? How has everything been with you, with COVID?
Oh, I'm living life in my comfy cell is how I look at it, because
Yeah.
LA has been wildly irresponsible about COVID, and it's just like I try not to leave. I want to leave. I want to go do stuff, but I'm not going to. I'm going to try to be as responsible as possible about this shit. And we literally just loosened restrictions today here in LA, and I'm like, we still have, though our numbers have dropped, our daily count has dropped dramatically. We are still like 15,000 daily cases above like the next closest state.
Yeah, well, that's New Jersey too. New York, New Jersey, and California have all had lockdowns, but our numbers have all been high. So it's at the same time, it's like, okay, well then, can we get fresh air and sunshine, and maybe that will help health and emotionally too? Because then when you're stuck inside, you get depressed and sad. So I mean, I really don't think that a human can control this or figure out how to, cure it or anything like that. And, I don't envy any person that has to make legislature about this too. I mean, the industry has been super, super safe with everything. The fact that you have to be 24 to 48 hour COVID tested, I don't think it gets more strict or anything than that. And I know a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to get this test, give me an alternative. And at the end of the day, I don't care if I have to test and every single day for COVID to shoot to make a producer or a co-star feel comfortable.
100%. No one should be bitching about having to get the test, especially since a lot of productions are covering the cost.
Yeah.
It's not like, I could understand, like, okay, you're spending $35 to $75 a day to get it done to work. And especially if you're, lower paid talent, where it's like, oh, hey, that's a good chunk of my rate. But if the production's covering it, there is no reason that you shouldn't.
Yeah. I mean, but at the end of the day, you have to invest in your brand. You're going to be investing in your brand. No matter what industry you're in, you could be in porn, you could be in PR, you can be in anything. You have to invest in your own brand. You have to get your own equipment. You have to be shooting. You're paying for the tests. When you're not in a hub, tests for me have been $350 every time to get tested, because I have to pay shipping costs. I have to pay draw fees. Now with COVID on top of it, but I'm investing in my brand. It sucks, but everyone has to pay their dues, and it's like anything. Camera equipment, editing, computers, webcams, whatever it may be. But, you got to invest in your brand, because if you're not going to invest in it, then why is their producer or anyone going to invest in you? So
I agree. But you also have to have that balancing act of, like, you can't put yourself in the poorhouse to invest in your brand.
Mm-hmm. Of course. Also it's, this is my PSA for the day. It's also really important to keep, track of all of your expenses too. It doesn't matter if it's cash. going in or out. It doesn't matter if it's a check going in or out. It's really important that you keep a spreadsheet because the tax man is going to come after you. Everyone thinks it's not going to happen. And now becoming incorporated, LLC, all that stuff, they want to hold you accountable. So when tax season comes around, if you have all of your expenses, like, oh, I spent X amount on my flights, X amount on my tests, I made this much, and you have it all there, well, then it's going to be a lot better for you to see how much you spent on things like testing or something as silly as paying for professional hair and makeup that didn't get covered, for shoots, or if you did a marketing thing, putting that all together. A, you can see how much comes in and out, and B, you can be a responsible adult for taxes and not have to worry about getting hit with something from the IRS or penalties or whatever,
100%. My first CPA was like, the first thing you should do is set up, even if you can't important today, you definitely should be incorporated or an LLC just because of, how California is fucking us.
California, yeah.
But even if you're not doing that, at bare minimum, you should have a separate credit card for payments, for stuff like that, so it's easy to track, so it's not commingled with your personal spending.
Yeah, that's very true.
And in an ideal world, you have a business account and everything goes through the business account. So it's super easy. Just like, I just go down my monthly statement, like, those were all expenses. This is what came in. Easy peasy. Yeah,
that's very true. It's also, me being married to someone that works in tax, I've got that like, okay, I just put everything together so that he can do our taxes for the year. I'm like, okay, I did all my math, meanwhile, me and math, we're not best friends. So I'm like double checking and going backwards and forwards with all of my numbers, from all the sites and then from all of the shoots, how many times. And I'm like, okay, I think this is all my math. Like, good luck. Yeah.
Just give it to your husband, like, please double check the numbers, please.
Yeah. I was very good this year. I'm usually pretty good. Like, I always get all of our tax forms together and give it to him. But a lot of times you don't get tax forms from people that you've shot with. So I always keep everything on even my calendar. If I have a shoot, I write in the notes how much they gave me, and if it was cash or check or via an app or a transfer or whatever it may be, so that at the end of the year, all I have to do is just go through my calendar and see, how all that came in to make it easy. So I'm just writing it down, writing the date next to it and be like, all right, here's all my stuff,
Yeah, it's the way to be. And that's honestly one of the problems with the industry altogether is like, people aren't coached on that when they come in.
Yeah.
Like if you're
people aren't coached on that in general. I mean, I don't think people, whether you went to school or not, whether you went to high school, whether you went to college, it's really not taught how to balance your books and understanding taxes and even investments and stocks. And, you're really not taught that. I think the last time I was taught anything like that was 8th grade. And statistics, we did a little bit of it. And that in college, and there really wasn't anything, besides being like, hello, now you're an adult. Here's your, checkbook. That's like dating myself. Here's your checkbook. Here's your bank account, and hey, I still carry a checkbook around with me. Okay.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with that shit. They still print checks, give you checkbooks for a reason. They're still useful.
Exactly. Yeah. I still pay bills with that. That's the way I pay my bills.
I am thankful everything's available online, because I used to dread having to write the checks for everything and mailing them. Like writing the checks, that was fine. It was I gotta stuff this in an envelope.
Yeah, and mail. Well, now like my whole thing is with the e-payments. If you change cards, if your card expires and you forget one account to update, then they're like, oh well, why didn't that? It was like, oh shoot, I forgot that one, account or that one password that I didn't put in to update it or whatever it may be. So I'm like, this way I get it in the mail, I write a check and I send it right back out, and there I've done my job.
Oh yeah, I've had that pain with recurring payments. It's like, of course I don't remember the fucking password. I logged in once to set up recurring payments. I never came back.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have to have like 5 symbols, 3 numbers, like I don't know. I usually just close mine and like, that works. All right, cool.
Yeah, like a little drop of blood to verify it's me.
Exactly.
Set up an altar to the bank gods. Like, please let me back into my account.
Like, come
Please.
on, come on. Yes, yay. Yeah,
Like, it's so secure, I can't even get into it. What the fuck?
exactly. What's your code word? What's your whatever it is? And I'm like, what's your verbal? I don't know what my verbal code is anymore. Like,
I logged in one time 5 years ago before my card expired.
yeah, exactly.
And it's even worse now with like two-factor because you're like, oh hey, I changed phone numbers. Shit.
Yeah.
Like we
Or
can.
like the security question is like, what's your favorite food? And it's like, well, if I was really hungry at the time versus now I'm full, I don't remember what food I said.
Yeah, exactly. Like, shit.
Yeah.
Crap. It's just
Yeah. It's like,
modern
what's your favorite?
problems.
What was your favorite sport? I don't know. Was it like, was my team going to the Super Bowl? Like, I don't know.
Well, speaking of sports, as an athlete, what are your teams? Like, are you a big sports person to watch sports or?
So everyone hates me when I say my team picks. But to preface it, so in high school, you're gonna laugh about this one. In high school, I was cross country. I was on the men's wrestling team, and I played lacrosse. So, and as a kid growing up, I grew up with Formula One racing. We would travel all over to see Indy, Champ Car, Formula One. So there wasn't time for football or your stereotypical sports on the weekends. It was always Formula One. It was always racing, MotoGP, the whole nine. So once I got into like junior high and high school, I'm like, okay, I'm going to pick, an NFL team. So me being a type A person, I'm researching teams, instead of just making the obvious pick of like Giants or Jets being from Jersey. I research and I find out that Bill Belichick is an all-American lacrosse player. And I myself am a lacrosse player. So I'm like, okay, great. I'm a Patriots fan. And I also like that you didn't hear that there was a lot of bullshit going on, behind the scenes. You didn't have anyone knocking anyone out. And then besides Aaron Hernandez, you didn't, but you also didn't hear anything with like coaches talking shit, like a Rex Ryan, I just didn't want to deal with that. My brother, the way he picked his team is Modell's had a Lions jersey on sale that was normally $200 for $15, and he's like, "I'm a Lions fan." That's how he picked.
Oh, that's just a bad choice all around.
But with everything going on with the fact that Brady and Gronk both left the Patriots and went to Tampa Bay, that obviously shows that there was some back office bullshit going on, and I have zero tolerance for that. As a athlete, as a human being, as a spectator or whatever it may be, I'm not for that. So I've kind of become a game by game girl. I'll always root for Brady and for Gronk. I'm more of a college football girl. I am a University of South Carolina Gamecocks fan. I actually honeymooned at the Gamecocks Clemson game 6 years ago. Yeah, there my husband and I are snuck into the student section. Everyone's hammered and I'm pregnant. So I'm like, hey, we're down south, so whatever, it happens.
Right.
Yeah. But I'm a diehard New Jersey Devils fan for hockey. My husband and I would always go to games all the time. So it's really hard to not go to games. And being a lacrosse player, I don't do baseball. I'm sorry for all you baseball fans. I'll totally play games with you. Every time I go to a baseball game, it could be Little League. It could be a Yankees game. I get hit with a ball. I kid you not. You want to catch a ball at a game? Bring me. I got hit with Johnny Damon's line drive again when he was playing for the Yankees against the Phillies. Pop right in the shoulder. I'll go to a Little League game. I'll run away. I'll see it coming. I'll be running all over the place. It'll pop me like in the head. I kid you not. No matter where I go, I will get hit with a baseball.
You should be bringing a mitt with you to every game you go to then.
I do. I always I'm bringing a mitt. I'm like, just don't come near me, But I, also growing up with, Formula One and MotoGP, I have a need for speed too. So that's definitely, in my blood. So I love sports in general. So it's right now, like I said, with NFL, it's a game by game with everything going on. And I really loved the playoffs. Watching Brady play Breeze and then Rodgers and Brady. I was like, those 3 games right there are like Super Bowl worthy. You really don't like, I'm sorry guys, but those were some OG quarterbacks all playing together that we've all wanted to see, in that situation, I think.
Hell
So it was really, I really liked these playoffs, and it'll be an interesting Super Bowl for sure, because it's the first time that quarterbacks from the last 2 Super Bowls that have won are playing each other ever in history.
Oh, really?
So yeah. So they won, consecutively, in the Super Bowl in the last 2 years. So it's the first time that's going to happen in history. So it'll be really cool. To see how
That's
that
absolutely
works out.
wild. I had no idea that. I am not a huge NFL person, so
Yeah.
like I had no idea that was going down. And you'd think statistically over like the amount of times they've had the goddamn Super Bowl, that would have happened at least once before.
Yeah. Well, think of how many teams go from like the highest of high to the lowest of lows, right?
True.
You won that Super Bowl, and now you're no longer the underdog. Now you're the one with the target on their back, and everyone's trying to dethrone you,
It's true.
So.
It's true. I mean, the Patriots still have pulled it off a bunch of times in recent years.
Yeah. Yeah. They have. I mean, it's funny, the Patriots as an organization in the past years, they have great players individually. We always get flack for our defense, but I'm going to give love to the McCourty twins because they went to Rutgers, but they are great defensive players, and their defense, like I said, individually, they're all great, but there are just times they weren't working together. And when I watched Brady and Gronk with Tampa Bay, my one girlfriend was making fun of me, who's a fellow Patriots fan. She's like, oh, what? You're not a Patriots fan anymore? You're a Tampa Bay fan? And I said, honestly, I've never seen Brady hug Belichick or get pumped around the coaching staff like he does at Tampa Bay. And Tampa Bay, yes, they've got Gronk, they've got Brady, they've got Antonio Brown, they've got some big names, they've got JPP, like there's some big names there, but you can get a lot of divas in one place and it won't work.
Yeah.
They look like they've got a well-oiled machine going on right there. And so I was like, I can appreciate that. I can appreciate the camaraderie of teammates and then the coaching staff with, the players and everything. So.
Oh, yeah. I'm seeing a lot of people talk about like, oh, maybe it wasn't just Belichick that was making this, a winning formula. That Brady's still pulling it off.
I think it's funny because I've said to some people too that Giselle, is worth twice as much as he is. And I think the last Super Bowl or 2 Super Bowls ago that he won, she made a comment like, oh, I'll be ready for him to retire whenever he wants to. And now he's like uprooted and gone to Tampa Bay. It's like, oh, surprise.
Sorry, babe. I got to get one more game in. Just one more game.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, he's, like a Breeze or a Rodgers or a Brett Favre. He's, he's in it for his life, being 43 or not,
Yeah. Well, I'm sure if you've experienced those kind of athletic highs, they got to be hard to get away from.
Yeah.
Sports-wise, I'm a big MMA person.
Oh, yeah. And love me some UFC.
Hell yeah. Well, I was about to ask you about that, being a former wrestler yourself, if you were into MMA.
I always root for the wrestler. Like, if there's a matchup, first thing I look for is that cauliflower ear. I'm like, all right, there's cauliflower. You're my guy. Like, here we go.
But that sport especially, like, you see guys who are, like, well past their prime still trying to compete because they're just addicted to competing.
That Randy Couture, the natural, right? Just pounding it out. Yeah.
Holy shit. I mean, Randy was winning and very competitive deep into his 40s, which most people are like, oh, that's way past your prime. I'm like, dude still pulled off the heavyweight championship at like 43.
Yeah. Which is amazing because it's not, you're killing your body over and over and over again. So even the normal aches and pains as you get older are now magnified times 20, so it's amazing.
Like, I'm not 43 yet, and if I sleep funny, I wake up in pain. No one has tried to fucking slam me to a mat in a very long time.
Yeah.
When those guys at camp are like, oh yeah, I'm doing 2 a days in the gym and sparring, and like, oh yeah, it's just like, it's fucking impressive.
Yeah, no, it really is.
Did you happen to catch the McGregor-Poirier fight over the weekend?
So I didn't, because it's like also AVN awards, and I was nominated this year, especially it being pretty much like my first full-time year in the industry. I was like super excited and everything. So we were watching it, and then like, ESPN went down for a little while. So we were kind of trying to watch it on our phones. But I mean, I was not expecting that at all. I'm a McGregor fan personally. And like that was a shocker, you know?
First time he has been stopped by strikes in his career.
Yeah. So that was just, I'm speechless now still. You know, the speechlessness hasn't worn off. You know, it really was just one of those like, oh, shit, you know, like.
Oh, yeah, especially after like how dominantly he beat Dustin the first time around.
Yeah. Well, like I said, he's got a target on his back because he was the winner. Like in any sport, you've got that you're trying to prove yourself. Like, hey, that was, you know.
Well, and on top of it, I know COVID has made his training camps difficult.
Yeah.
And even if he's hungry, he's so fucking rich now. Like, he doesn't have the hunger of the guy who was on welfare training to make it in the sport.
Gosh, yeah. Yeah.
There's just no way you could be that hungry again.
Yeah. It's like, I love the movie Warrior. I don't know if you've seen that. It's like that. I love that movie, but it's like the same thing, right? Like you see everyone that was going into that, you know, the Spartan, you know, style. Everyone had a different story. Some had like so much money and they were coming into it like, you know, with ice around the neck. And some of them had like ripped t-shirts and were just fighting because they're pissed off, you know. Like it really is one of those sports that, you know, you don't need that $1 million, you know, backing. You know, your fists do the talking.
Well, yeah, and hell, I honestly feel that it can definitely be a detriment to be really wealthy. Because, like, what's your real motivation to get potentially injured for life if you are already going to be comfortable? Like, McGregor's got enough money at this point that his kids will be set.
Yeah.
You know, unless you're, you know, really, really love the game, there's no reason to get back in that cage. And as I said earlier, he's never going to be as hungry as he was.
I mean, as a newbie, even like the newbie to veteran, hunger is different too, you know, and evolves.
It's just the taste of fame when, like, you know, hey, we're putting you on box covers and stuff like that. Like, it's got to change your mentality.
Oh, yeah.
And
everyone has an ego, no matter how much of a Mother Teresa you are. Everyone has ego. You know?
100%. And honestly, I mean, someone like McGregor at this point has so much more to lose in the ego department.
Yeah.
For taking a loss. And that's got to affect you psychologically as well. Just be like, oh shit, if I go out there and lose, I mean, the amount of memes that are about of just him like,
oh my gosh,
already. Like,
I know. No, I was saying all that his sports psychologists are earning double right now with everything, you know.
100%. Like, his sports psychologist saw that knockout and was like, oh, I'm about to make bank.
Yeah. I mean, in COVID in general, all these sports psychologists are making so much money because the fans aren't there. So they don't have someone cheering them on. So they need their sports psychologist to cheer them on even more so. And then, you know, with everything.
Yeah. And it's really interesting to see how some fighters handle it. Because some fighters are like, it was actually easier without the fans. Because I don't have that distraction. It just felt like a sparring session to me. And then there's other guys who are like, oh no, I live for that fucking crowd.
Yeah.
And they're not there. And it's weird. It's weird being able to hear the commentary team saying I'm making mistakes. Because, like, especially in the smaller octagon, like when the commentary team's like, oh, he's fucking up here. They're like, I can hear you.
It's like, hello.
This is not helping.
Asshole.
Yeah. It's not helping. So, with the first, I obviously didn't attend the virtual AVN this year. How was the virtual AVN? Like, this is the first year they're doing this shit, so.
Yeah, so it's exactly that. You know, it's like how we talked about the first year of Exotica, right? It's that test year of the first time going live. So there were some times that audio, you know, wasn't working. There was time that video or audio was playing when it shouldn't have, or there was a lag. I think at one point, I don't know if their live feed went down or something, but they crashed for a second and then they came back on. But it's all first year things that you have to figure out. And I think we as viewers are so easy to judge and be like, oh, they should have done this. Like, oh, come on. Like, they should have done that. And or easily judging how a stream of a live award show is going when we're comfortable on our couches, with a drink in hand, versus the ones that are stressed out of their minds, making sure that the live feed doesn't get messed up. But I think it was probably definitely a learning experience for them this year, realizing things could have been live or what things could have been pre-recorded. They made the comment that I guess the comedian for this year backed out last minute.
Who was supposed
I don't know.
The comedian.
I don't know. I didn't catch it because you were like joining and making sure that the live, making sure that it was working and we were connecting our computer to the TV. I don't know if that was just part of a bit and a joke that they were saying to like, oh, the comedian's gone, so now the porn stars are going to be the jokes too, or if someone legitimately didn't come because of COVID or whatever it may be. So I'm not really sure.
I was trying to Google it real quick, see if someone actually backed out.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to
fact check.
Yeah, well, no, just be curious.
Yeah, no.
I'm not seeing anything that's quickly coming up.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Well, and
I don't know if it was just part of their bit or whatever it may have been.
Well, and very well they may not have had the budget to hire a comedian this year because they don't have the expo to help pay for the award show.
Yeah, exactly. It's very, very true. So, it's interesting to see it from a different light.
Oh yeah, and for those of you who are watching, in the audience here, the actual award show, they do a dress rehearsal the night before. Like it's a whole do. It's practiced.
Yeah.
There's just some things with live streaming that no matter how many dress rehearsals you run, can go wrong.
Yeah. And there were a bunch, but it was definitely different. I missed it. Like I said, I've only been to one because it's really only my first full-time year in the industry. And this being a year that I was nominated was even more bittersweet that I couldn't be there and part of that. So, but hopefully next year we make up for it.
So did you at least dress up for it, or did you just, wear something comfortable?
I dropped the ball and I didn't. I should have gotten dressed up and taken pictures, but like I said, I've got 2 kids. So even taking pictures, and getting dressed up, it's hard because I've got 2 kids and they see me, I can't get naked in front of my 2 kids. I'm not, I can't even edit in front of my kids. There was one time I was posting a picture of mine to my OnlyFans feed and my son happened to be sneaky, come around the corner.
Oh, no.
And it's just me. It's me in lingerie. He's 3 years old, So my ass is out a little bit because it's like a thong, like a cheeky bottom kind of thing. He goes, "Oh my God, Mom, it's your booty," and just starts dying laughing. And I'm like, "Yep, that's Mommy's booty." And he's like, "Mommy, it's so cute." And I'm like, "Thanks, dude. I'm glad you think." So it's even something like that. Like if I've tried to take pictures, with a backdrop or quickly snap a selfie if I have my makeup done and the kids are in the other room and they're hearing me taking a selfie. You'll see a little head in the background. And they're like, "Mommy, I want to take a selfie with you." And I'm like, "Okay, let's all take selfies now," So it's definitely a lot, different. I wore my Avian Stars sweatshirt, if that counts. Yeah.
Nice.
But I know a lot of people. I was going back and forth with Lexi Luna and Macy Cartel and Johnny Cartel during it, and Matt Ryder, who's part of adult management. We're all just going back and forth of, "Oh, what are you wearing? Are you dressed up?" And half of us were dressed up and half of us were in sweats, just sending pictures back and forth, So it was cute to see a lot of people post that they were dressed up. And I'm like, oh, how nice is the life without kids?
Yeah, I can imagine, especially in COVID where you're all together. It's, as you said, you just don't have a moment to be like, oh I gotta, that's gotta be,
it's definitely hard, especially going live or recording stuff at home. I really have to schedule it out to a T to make sure, okay, Mommy's not going to be home when she's playing with the toys, squirting all over, moaning, Yeah.
Don't want to expose them to that at all.
No. I mean, my daughter's found the Hitachi wand, and it's a cordless black one, so it's not very obvious. So all of my toys are obviously clean. They're not like laying around dirty and used. But she picks it up and she's like, Mommy, it's my microphone. And I'm like, yep, you sing your heart out. Meanwhile, she's singing like Let It Go from Frozen. And I was like, yep, you sing Let It Go. Yep. Or there's a random dildo that like, when we're trying to move stuff around or trying to use small spaces for storage, and there's like a dildo that I thought I had put away. And my son's like, Mommy, what's that? But luckily it's not like an obvious one. It's like a double-ended. So it looks like it could be like a snake. And I'm like, oh, that's Daddy's special snake toy. And he's like, and I'm like, so I'm blaming my husband. Yeah, that's Daddy's.
Oh my God. I hope that later in life, your son doesn't realize what that is and be like, what did Daddy have a double-ended dildo for?
Daddy was testing out something.
Do you ever think like how you're eventually going to break it to your kids, like what you're doing for a living, or?
Yeah. So obviously I think being a sex ed teacher too has kind of helped the idea of sex positivity with my kids, not in the whole idea of sex is great, go have lots of sex. This wasn't the first time I ever had sex. It was, I sat down and I put boundaries down. I still have limits. I have yeses, I have nos. It's consent. Mommy and Daddy sat down together. Daddy said yes. Mommy said yes. So whole idea of sex positivity and teaching them that it's really important for them to explore their bodies, A, as individuals, to know what they like, B, to understand what a healthy relationship is, and C, consent. So I think that's going to be the biggest thing. Obviously, it's going to be very hard to cross that bridge when we do cross that bridge. But I would rather come at it in a positive way and, a teaching moment of, your body is your own and you make the rules for your body. And I think a lot of times, many people have handled it well. But if porn had been my first taste of sex or a relationship, it would have definitely been a lot different than, 30 married with 2 kids, so just bringing that, if I already had a baseline of what I wanted or didn't want, in my life.
And the nice thing is you're in a position where you can eventually teach them that, like, hey, here's a working example that, like, sex and love are 2 separate things. Mommy and Daddy still love each other, even if they're still sleeping consensually with other people, and everyone knows about it. Because too many people get that shit conflated and are just like, oh, well, I can't separate the 2, or, Yeah.
Many people ask me, like, oh, you've never, like, emotionally been attached to someone, or had feelings. And I was like, no, I haven't, because I'm being a professional. Yes, there are times when the chemistry can be really great and the energy can be really great, but it's just that it's chemistry and it's energy on set. You might have great sex off camera too, but everyone laughs when I tell them that my husband and I are pretty much monogamous outside of porn, which sounds very weird when I have to try to explain it. But if we ever do like play or do anything, the person is in the industry, they're tested. Like, we're not, everyone thinks automatically if you're in a relationship or doing porn, you must have a completely open relationship and be a complete swinger and everything. And that's not true. No. We always joke that if we do things with other people, they're with us, or we've told each other about it or whatever, because we're really happy with our sex lives. We're not looking for other things. We bring people in to add to us, to be like, I hate to call someone an accessory, but I mean it in a relationship wise, an accessory to our love or our foundation, whatever it may be.
No, 100%. And that's how it should be. Like, more people need to realize that, like, the lying and, like, violation of trust is the problem when people cheat, not the actual physical act of sex.
Yeah.
Like, your partner, probably had other partners before you. Like, that's not a big deal, right?
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, but really, fuck them.
It's mine.
I'm just kidding. I'm from Jersey. We know how to flip a table or two.
Believe me, I was involved with a Italian girl from Jersey for
a while, and I know.
I'm married to an Italian, but I'm a hot-blooded German Hungarian, so we've got a lot of hot-blooded, but no, it is very true that like having a relationship, and I joke with him. I don't do anal. Like that's one thing that I don't do. I wish I could be that greedy slut that gives everything, but that's one thing that I've drawn a line on. And I joke with him like, hey, I'll find someone in the industry or someone that's tested for you to do anal, because I can't give that to you, but it's not anything that he's going to be like, oh, I need anal and like you're imperfect without giving me that, So I always joke with him that I'm like, oh, so-and-so does anal a lot. Like, why don't you go get tested and go do anal with them? But it doesn't have anything to do with a lacking in our relationship or something that's missing, or a desire to go outside because I'm like, oh, I really want this or I really want that. And there are times when my husband, he doesn't travel with me because we have our kids, and it gets expensive, 2 people for all of that versus 1. And he'll joke with me and he'll be like, oh, did you and your co-star, or whatever, fuck off, camera. And I'm like, but I'm not that person that I'm like, I need to do that. But one time he egged me on. He's like, oh, did you fuck someone? Like, cause he was the one that got me into this, and he loves that I'm a greedy slut. And he's like, oh, were you he always texts me when he knows I have a shoot. Were you a really good greedy slut? How many loads did you get? So it's this whole like cheerleader thing. So, there's been a couple times where he's like, oh, I want you to be a real greedy slut. Like, how greedy of a slut can you be? And he'll egg me on, but it'll be with a co-star, or it'll be with someone that's tested and he knows about it. And it's not anything like, oh, by the way, I slept with 10 people, surprise. It's something that we've talked about. Or if he's really in the mood to like hear about all the greedy things that I've done, there's 99.99999% of the time there's video evidence of anything that I've done. So
yeah, it's not like
a very different.
It's not like you're fucking the Uber driver on the way back from set.
Yeah, no. Sorry, not tested. You're not getting it.
Right. Speaking of your
Step
husband,
1.
Has your husband thought about shooting with other people, pursuing being male talent a little bit more? Or?
So we've talked about this a lot. He's always wanted to get into porn. The biggest thing is that his job gives us health insurance and the stability that we need, especially right now. He's shot with me. He's been in lots of he's my stunt cock.
Right.
He knows it. The perks of being a porn hub. So yeah. We will be shooting cough, cough, hint, hint, in the future with other people. We like to do mostly couple stuff. If there's someone in the industry that's a couple, like the wife swap or girlfriend swap, or just that kind of like orgy feeling, or like a double blowjob, kind of a thing. But yeah, he definitely wants to get more into it. He and I are both switch. For anyone that follows myself or my husband on social media, he this year on National Coming Out Day actually came out as being bi, and 33 years old to come out. That's pretty. Not that it was anything that our close friends or whatever didn't know. But coming from a small town, and growing up your whole life with everyone telling you, like, guys, like, if you say you're bi or you're gay or you like to do this, or you're not this macho man, there's something wrong with you. So he came out this year as being bisexual, and it's kind of, ramped up his sexuality in a good way, because he's so much more comfortable with being like, hey, like I love prostate stuff. I love doing this. I love subbing, I'll dom him, we'll switch. And 9 times out of 10 we'll sync up too. Like, I'm in a dom mood and he's in a sub mood. Perfect. So there's just lots of possibilities for him too in that, with doing solo stuff as a sub or a dom as a switch, bisexual, whatever it may be. But he definitely wants to, it's currently tax season. So after tax season, he'll have a little more time, but working from home, he can even, suction cup his phone to the shower. He's taking a shower right now. You touching your butt? You jerking it? No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. He said no.
Aww.
I know. But, like little things like that he wants to build up. And sometimes it's hard if our brands don't line up. I'm that horny housewife, greedy slut, MILF, and maybe he wants to do a femdom thing. So finding a way that both of our brands can come together I never hide that I'm a Jersey girl with an attitude. So femdom does naturally come into my life, So yeah, he definitely does want to explore that a little bit more. We'll be shooting with a couple this February and doing some content for all of us with that and having lots of fun. But any opportunity that we have, especially when we travel to Vegas or LA, we always are always both tested and try to get content done.
Do you guys have any interest in doing like a boy girl bi scene where the two boys go at it too?
Oh, totally. I've done buy stuff behind closed doors with my husband, especially because it was that experimentation phase, and for us to have genuine interactions without having to worry about a camera there. We're definitely both up to it. We've had times where we were supposed to shoot and then things falling through or schedules not syncing up, but I would definitely do that with him. Whether it be, that the guys are going at it, they're doming me, I'm doming them. I really, like I said, we are both naturally switches. So, any scenario of, boy, girl would work for us.
That's fucking awesome. Yeah, that's absolutely awesome. Because what you're talking about it's difficult to come out at 33. I have a friend of mine who's currently in a marriage and his wife is not as open, and he is dealing with the fact that, he is bisexual. And he just doesn't know what to do about it because his wife is not cool with that.
Yeah, it's really hard too, because like we said before, with relationships and feeling like you have to go outside their relationship because something's lacking versus it's just an addition. I feel like regardless, yes, I'm open. We still have boundaries within that. He only goes so sub. I only go so, there's, I only go so sub. We have boundaries within that fit for us. And I think a lot of people don't understand the idea of boundaries being hard nosed versus ways to make two people feel comfortable. Everyone thinks boundaries are, I will not do butt stuff. And that's it. That's all a boundary is. No, boundaries could be, hey, babe, I really like when you wear something silly. I really like when you wear that underwear, but I'm not a fan of the ones that have bows on them. Something stupid as that could be something that someone is comfortable or not comfortable with. I know it's a really silly example, but it is, it's something that seems so small and something that wouldn't make a difference, but it could.
100%.
And understanding that someone is bi versus gay or lesbian, I personally believe that all people are bi, whether they want to admit it or not, because you can appreciate a beautiful person. And when I say beautiful person, I mean to you.
Right.
My friends and I don't have the same taste in men or women, so it's really beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And why does it matter if it's a man or a woman?
100%.
If you're attracted to them, why can't you appreciate your attraction to them? I think it's also hard to, if you don't also preface it. When I first found out that my husband was into that stuff, yes, it was very different, but I was into a lot of different stuff too. I'm not going to tell that I wasn't able to really tell with any, ex-boyfriend that I want to experiment with fisting. You're not going to just come out and say something like that. So I think it's really important that you preface things and you set a tone before labeling it, because jumping into something and be like, I'm bi, now someone already has a definition in their head. And I hate using labels. The only labels that I personally will use on myself is greedy slut. And then I switch because that is just such a broad term. I hate using bisexual, pan, whatever it may be, because everyone has their own definition in their head versus the definition I have in my head. And I know it's really hard, especially being in a marriage, in a relationship where there's already a tone that's been set. When you're sharing a life together, when someone is saying, not that they've changed, but that they're being more open about it, someone can start to question, well, was I giving you not enough? Is our relationship phony? Am I your beard? There's all these things that can go through your mind, and it's understandable, but, hopefully your friends, they can sit down and that they can, work through it, whether it's just them together or it's with a therapist or, also experimenting on your own. Just because someone is is bi doesn't mean that you have to actively be fucking someone else. You know, for a guy, you can use a toy, bring a toy into the situation and let her see how comfortable he is or she using it on him. Or if I love beautiful women, like I said, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. So beauty to me might not be the same to you, but I love women. And it could just be something as simple as I'm watching a movie and I verbalize that to my husband, like, oh my gosh, she is so like hot. Like, oh, this person, the things I would do to her. Or I'll even be on Twitter and I'll send my husband things of, beautiful men and women. I'll be like, oh God, the things I want to do to that person. So I feel like just having, that openness and understanding that you don't have to actively be doing something sexual to be bisexual or, gay or lesbian,
Yeah. Well, I hope that they work it out. It literally was a conversation I had with him at 3:00 in the morning last night. It was like, it was really fresh in my head. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. No, it's hard. It's always hard. I got a 90-pound dog over here that's like sleeping on my foot.
Nice.
And decided to shift.
Well, yeah, and it's hard when you're, especially later in life and your whole identity has been, of being a cis heterosexual male.
Yeah.
And he just was like, yeah, there's only a handful of people who know. I don't I don't know how to tell my father. And I'm just like, dude, you're in the middle, you're midlife and married. Your father's opinion really doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, in all honesty, at what point would his father be involved in that?
Right.
If he's going to be married and he's just going to see his dad, with his wife, then there's, unless he wants his dad to watch, which is a whole other thing,
Yeah.
But, like, at what point would he have to be involved in his bisexuality? I think that's really more that he has to talk with his wife and no one else. Obviously friends too, like to be open with friends, but I don't think family members really need to know anything about your sexuality.
No.
I mean, I'm very close with my parents and everything like that. There have been times where, my mom may have said something about sex or whatever that I blushed about, or I've said something about sex to her and I've still blushed, but so there's a difference between having an openness and going to a parent versus like telling them something like that if it's not going to directly affect them and then their lifestyle with you.
Yeah, well, my personal opinion is like when it comes to almost anything with, your family, hell, your friends, if it doesn't negatively affect them, their opinion doesn't fucking matter. Who are you living your life for? You or them.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, if I was going to make a decision that negatively affected someone, yeah, then it matters to them. But if it's just their fucking judgment, fuck them. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It's my life.
Yep. Very, very true.
I mean, it's just my opinion on almost everything.
It's true. Let me live my life.
Yeah, believe me, my family was not thrilled that I upped and moved to California. My family was not particularly thrilled that I got involved in adult entertainment. And I went, you know what? You guys aren't paying my bills. You have no intention of paying my bills. This doesn't negatively affect you, so I'm going to live my life.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Exactly. And I wish more people would embrace that. I'm not saying I have all the fucking answers here, but I feel like, I have people back in Chicago who are like, oh, I would love to move to LA. Oh, I'd love to move away from Chicago. But my family's here. Like, they're not going away. You can always go back and visit. If you feel that you're going to get a better quality of life somewhere else, you should be fucking chasing it.
Exactly. Definitely need to get a New Jersey at that statement now.
Well, speaking of which, do you guys ever have the plan to move to the West Coast or move to Southern Florida?
So we have been talking about moving to either like Arizona or the Vegas area. Obviously, our biggest thing is we have 2 kids.
Yeah.
So finding a family-friendly area, maybe good school districts. That's our big 1-2s. We were a lot more active about that thought before COVID hit. Now that COVID hit, obviously life is on hold a little bit more. And with his job, like I said, his security, he was working in New York City with his job, which is where the, big finance market is. So he is, like I said, working from home full time. So he's like, well, if I'm going to work from home full time, who cares? And now they're kind of saying that they possibly might do hybrid in person come the spring, but there's really no reason for him to be. I mean, he's been working at home for an entire year. So if he can find a job, even if it's this one or another one that is remote or in that area, we would more actively move. I mean, the taxes alone in Nevada or Arizona on a house the same size, well, actually, a house that's twice the size, brand new, we would pay 1/10 of the property taxes.
Yeah. That'd be worth negotiating a pay cut for his current employer.
Yeah, exactly. So that definitely, I mean, and right now, like 70% of our taxes are going towards the school district, and we're not using the school district. So it's definitely hard. The cost of living in New Jersey is astronomical. So we definitely would like to move out there. We just have to, do our due diligence and make sure it's the right for our family, because it's not just the two of us that could live on ramen noodles in an apartment.
Right. Well, if you end up in Vegas, look at private schools, because unfortunately Vegas is a pretty bad public school district.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I mean, there are some towns on the outskirts of Vegas that have some better school districts, but I mean, if we are cutting costs that much, that's when we would, obviously, if we're saving here, then we can splurge there. So.
Yeah, hell yeah. Vegas is not a bad place to live, especially if you have a family. It's not a great. I lived there for a couple of years when I first moved west. I don't love it as a single dude. You'd think oh, Vegas is a single dude, it's amazing. Not when you fucking live there.
Yeah, it's totally different. Yeah, you're not just visiting. You're not a Benny.
Right.
Or a tourist.
Right. Once you live there for a minute, the only time you ever go anywhere near the Strip, if you can avoid it, is most of the concert venues are on the Strip, and some good restaurants are there. Otherwise, you go nowhere near there.
Yeah.
And it's very suburban, and it is a rough town to meet new people in, just because people are very transient there.
Yeah.
But if you already have the family unit, it'd be much easier to adapt to.
To transition, yeah, pretty much so. Yeah, I don't think we would move to California or LA. That's just not. That's too West Coast for us East Coasters. Like I said, especially having a family too. So we have to see. We're hoping to move out there. So
very cool. Yeah. I would always recommend Vegas over Arizona. My audience is well aware of this, do not like Phoenix.
Yeah. Yeah. So we are kind of poly. I proposed to my girlfriend to be a sister wife, and it was this whole thing. Got down on one knee. I posted it on social media. And she's out in Arizona. So that would be the thing that would, having this long distance relationship is kind of hard, but being in Vegas would still be close enough. For me, Arizona is just a little too, my husband loves Arizona, loves the heat. We were there in the end of November and it was 85 degrees. That is too fucking hot for me. The fact that Vegas gets at least that cold, it gets to 50s in the winter or whatever, that I can deal with. I can't deal with the fact that your fall and your winter is 85, because when your summers are 120 degrees, I will melt. I will, I don't, that's way too, I mean, I know it gets to that in Vegas too, but Arizona was just, I felt so hot. There being in November,
Well, my opinion on Arizona, at least Phoenix, is it's all the bad parts of Vegas with none of the good.
Yeah. We were in Phoenix, and it was definitely a lot different than I was expecting. We went up to Sedona, which was beautiful, and everything, but it's definitely different than what I am looking for in a West Coast, moving to the West transition. So my husband and I are trying to kind of meet halfway in our expectations of what we want location wise, and, weather wise, climate, and, geographically speaking, where we want to go. So kind of finding that halfway point is really where we are right now.
I mean, you could always look at Flagstaff, because Flagstaff actually still gets snow.
Yeah, that's true. I'm like Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone. I need it to snow. I need a Christmas tree for Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hell, you could also look at like the Mount Charleston area in Vegas, like live on the mountain and that gets snow too.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Yeah, there's some little places outside of Vegas, and like even between Vegas and Arizona that we've heard of have pretty nice spots. So just figuring out where our home is and what's calling to us. I'm a list maker, so I like to check off my list. I'm type A. I always have lists, so just checking those boxes right now.
Nice. Yeah, unfortunately, like you will be disappointed by the pizza in probably both those places.
Yeah, I'm sure. I know, like every time I go out to Vegas or whatever, I know, what to expect. Half the time I'm like, oh, I'm really craving some Italian, but I'm not going to do this. Maybe I'll do this. I'll know that this place has good Italian, but I'm going to get X, Y, and Z. So it's very different.
Vegas, for the most part, has a lot of regional Italian, like not like New York mom and pop Italian immigrant Italian.
Yeah.
Which
it's funny, when we were in Arizona, we went out there for our wedding anniversary, and we're just walking around. Okay, let's just walk around in whatever place we happen to, go into. We went to Scottsdale for like our dinner, like our early dinner. We're just walking around. Whatever happens to look good when we're walking by, let's just walk into it, be spontaneous. So we walk into this place. It's really cute. We're sitting outside. We're sitting down. The owner walks up to us, starts talking, and we're like, he's not from around here. And he's hearing us. They're not from around here. He's like, oh, where are you guys from? Oh, Jersey. He's like, oh, me too. I'm like, of course. The one place in the entire area that we walk into, the owner is from Jersey and New York City. We found it. Like it was calling to us.
That is the one good thing about like those cities is there are a lot of transplants and a lot of transplant spots, but it's still not quite the same. It's not quite. For the Chicago and I mean there's a place called Capo's in Vegas on Sahara. It's way off strip.
Okay.
And it's a good Italian restaurant. And from the outside it looks like it's just a bar. And you roll in there and like it's just a little booth when you walk in and you're like, where the hell's the rest of the restaurant? Guy opens a panel like, what you want?
Yeah, you're like, oh yes.
And then
perfect.
He slides open a wall and it exposes the rest of the restaurant. It's great.
Yeah.
And actually really pretty good food.
Oh, nice.
So next time you go, you'll have to check it out. Like
I have to write that down on my list. Every time someone gives me, I think I have this list of like places to go in Vegas, places to go. I'm like writing it down. As far as TV shows go, I need mindless TV when I watch, and my guilty pleasures are The Housewives. I can't help it because it's just so stupid sometimes. And there have been times when I've seen the Houses of New Jersey, like in person. So it's just kind of funny to see if they're in random spots all over New Jersey. Oh, I know what town they're in here. Oh, I've seen this place randomly before, or whatever it may be. So the one housewife from like the Housewives of Beverly Hills or whatever, Lisa Vanderpump, owns a couple restaurants in LA, like Sir Pump, Villa Blanca, Villa Blanca or Villa Rosa, whatever, Villa Blanca and Tom Tom and whatever it is. So I told my husband, like, when we go to LA, I really want to go to the restaurant that's on my Housewives. So I dragged Lexi Luna with me, and I'm like, Lexi, you're coming with me too. We're gonna go and see. But it was socially distanced. Like you had a reservation. There was like one table here and there. We went there and left. And of course, I'm hoping to see like people that I know from the show, but they're all wearing masks and like face shields. And I'm like, I wouldn't even know if it was one of them because everyone is so far away from each other and everyone's wearing masks and face shields. I was like, oh, but it was still cool. Like we were there,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not eating at any of those restaurants. And I hope all those places survive the goddamn pandemic because that's the fucking worst about all this shit.
Yeah, it's definitely very hard. There have been a lot of places in Jersey that have closed down. Especially, I think it was in September, Murphy said he was going to reopen indoor dining, and everyone hired their staff and tripled their orders for food and liquor. And then the next week he says, oh no, just kidding. I'm not going to open up indoor. So a lot of places had to fold because they easily were spending a base of 10 grand on alcohol that they had already fronted that they couldn't get back. So yeah, it's definitely been tough, especially, for small businesses. And restaurateurs and
this has been handled so poorly from top to bottom, and the fact that like LA is ending its stay-at-home order today, and they're allowing patio dining again. It's like our numbers are still higher than New York's ever were right now. Why the fuck are we reopening? Why is the government not taking care of these small businesses?
I mean, I think at the same time, there are a lot of people that need that for their emotional well-being too, or their mental state. It sucks to say that, we're afraid and, stay closed for the greater good or stay home for the greater good when someone may be like, it's really hard to say that someone could be on suicide watch because all they want is to sit on a patio chair and just, that was their happy place. A lot of my girlfriends have kids that are highly autistic, and they would walk on the trails every day as part of their routine with their child. And they knew that was part of their routine, and they closed the trails here. So now my poor girlfriends have highly autistic children that now are having full meltdowns where, they're smashing their head against a wall because they don't have that routine. Something as simple as just going outside, for their mental stability and for their well-being. So it's really, really hard. And I hate to be someone that says like, you're going to kill everybody because you're out in the patio. But I think as adults, we need to make better decisions as individuals too. And hopefully everyone will be doing some personal reflection and calling up their doctors, their general practitioners, their specialists, and being like, hey, I want to do blood panels. I want to see if I have anything wrong with my heart, wrong with my lungs, wrong with my head, do I have allergies? Should I be taking vitamin C more? Oh no, vitamin D, whatever it may be. I'm hoping that this wakes a lot of people up with being proactive with their health and knowing, am I immunocompromised? Am I, too.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. Pretty much anybody out there can use more vitamin D or C, though. Pretty much everybody.
Yeah, vitamin D and magnesium are always lacking in everyone's diet.
Take some supplements, guys. You probably need them. And
I personally like some vitamin D in my life.
So when this is all said and done, when we get back to some level of normalcy, where do you want to go first?
That's interesting. I mean, so I've been traveling safely, like being COVID tested. I've been going to, Vegas and LA, like going straight there, staying in my hotel, shooting, testing, like that's it. The one place I want to do more traveling in Europe. That's probably going to take a really long time to open up, especially Europe's lockdowns are 20 times stricter than anything that we've ever seen. I really wanted to go to Greece and like Croatia and the Mediterranean.
Hell yeah.
I was supposed to do like I have a friend that was treating my husband and I to like a little sailing yacht trip all together because a friend of his has one. So we were reaping the benefits. We were supposed to do that, but because it was going to be on international waters, we didn't want to take the chance that, we'd be stuck somewhere. So I would like to, sail. I've never been to an island before either. I've been to Europe a couple times, but I've never been to an island. So popping that island cherry would be nice.
Where have you been in Europe?
I've been to Germany, Austria, and Switzerland.
Nice.
Yeah.
I haven't done Austria or Switzerland. I went to Munich for Oktoberfest a couple years ago.
Okay, nice. Yeah, Munich. I've been to Nürburgring in Germany for Formula One Grand Prix. I did the Sound of Music tour in Austria, which was really cool to see all of the places that they shot. The gazebo where they sing I Am 16 Going on 17 was closed because an elderly woman decided that she was going to try to reenact that scene and sing I Am 16 Going on 78 and fell through the glass pane and broke her arm. So they wouldn't let us into the gazebo because they were afraid of casualties. So that was like the one funny thing. And then Switzerland, I was there just for like a day or two, just in between and traveling. But
nice. Yeah, those Mediterranean islands I've wanted to check out too. Like Greece looks amazing. Croatia is supposed to be wildly affordable.
Yeah.
Who knows what anything's going to cost when this is all said and done?
Yeah, once everything opens back up. Yeah.
Yeah, hotels are going to be like, here, you're going to give us $1? Take the room. We just need money.
Oh, everything has been so inexpensive. It's so nice. I'm like, how much is this? A strip with a strip view? What? Yes, sign me up. Okay. You know? But
yeah, I want international travel is a big passion of mine. So like, I really cannot wait to get back to it. Like,
yeah,
I'm just fucking stir crazy. Like, I want to go somewhere weird and drink with interesting
and
people.
do something. Yeah, I just honestly, the first thing I want to do, I just want to go out and have drinks and dance my ass off. That's all I want to do. I want to go to that place that we took for granted, that bar, that sweaty bar that played the music you loved so much. You know, that's it. Even something as silly as I could, getting my nails painted. That was my escape. As a mom in general. So not having that little escape, I was like, gosh, like I will never take a manicure pedicure for granted again. So I honestly, the little things are what I miss the most. Just being able to go out and like dance in a bar. Some places have outdoor dining or had, areas. I didn't go to any of that personally. It just wasn't the same. And I didn't have any desire to go out in a mask and eat my dinner in a small corner, and that I could only get, I could do that at home, if I wanted to. But being able to go out at a bar or dancing with friends, is really, what I miss the most.
No, I miss that shit too. Like, because I'm definitely the kind of person who will just go sit at the bar and strike up conversations with people around me.
Yeah.
And I've been out for socially distanced nights a couple times during the pandemic. And it was the weird balancing act of like, I wanted to go to my local when they had outdoor sitting just to support them. I didn't really want to be there. I didn't want to. Like, I didn't ever really feel comfortable being out. It was great seeing the staff, great seeing my friends that work there, but it's like, I don't really want to be here. I'm just literally spending what little extra money I have to like hope that you guys are here when shit gets back to normal.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it was just not a great experience. I love this place. I love that bar, but it's just like I'm bullshitting with the one person I'm here with, which there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm like, I'm not having the social bar experience. Her and I could have just been doing that on my rooftop.
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah.
But it's also, I feel, important to like support those establishments if you're able to.
No, it is like supporting small businesses and people that, have been there for you, whether they know it or not, like a bar, and having girls' nights, my friends that are all moms, all going out and letting the moms go wild. We need that sometimes. Their favorite thing to do is like, oh, they're flirting with a dude. And then all of a sudden I'll hear my girlfriend go, Did you see Aria Khaide over there? Check out her Pornhub. And I'm like, oh, you son of a bitch. Like, I'm trying to hide, do my own thing. But she, my girlfriends will feel like, oh, okay, I'm done flirting with this guy. How do I get rid of him? Oh, look, it's Aria Khaide. Like, thank you.
That is such a dick move. That is such a dick move.
Like, okay, but I'll take it. I'll be like, hey, what's up? How are you? Yep, here's my Pornhub. Enjoy. Thanks.
Yep.
Bye.
Buy me a drink that I can watch the whole time. I need to keep eyes on it.
I'm like, I'm good. I'm here with my girlfriends. I still get mommy syndrome when I go out, especially being tall. I get very dommy too. Making sure everyone's okay, seeing the exit at all times. When Ari's got heels on, I'm super, super tall, so everyone in the bar can see me, so my drunk friend just sees me as a beacon,
There's safety right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully we get back to normalcy sometime this year. That'd be
that would be so nice.
It would be. I have a lot of fear on the American public taking the vaccine in a timely fashion, just especially because this is supposed to have some potential adverse side effects, and I feel like people that are on the fence about vaccines in the first place who get one and gives them adverse side effects will not show up for the second dose.
Well, I mean, you shouldn't. If you have an adverse reaction, you could die.
Well, I mean, I'm not talking about like super adverse, but it's been shown in some people that like give mild COVID-like symptoms that you quickly recover from.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, anything with a side effect, you should have consent whether or not to take. And I think, like I said before, it's personal responsibility. You've got to be responsible for your own health. And if you're making the decision that you're going to get the COVID vaccine, get the COVID vaccine for your health. And, you've done your part in getting the COVID vaccine. And if you feel like eating 10 apples has kept you really healthy, then you eat those 10 fucking apples and you stay healthy. It's like I said, it's personal responsibility. It's also knowing your baseline too. If you do like a whole bunch of tests and you're allergic, just say to all this stuff, like that's in the COVID vaccine, well, you probably shouldn't get it. Like, not being a medical professional, but like,
right.
You probably shouldn't get it. And then find out what you can do as an individual. Like, maybe you should just keep testing for COVID all the time if you're going to be doing stuff, or, taking whatever your body is saying it needs and things that you're allergic to that you need from that, or, whatever it may be. Like, do your part in the best way you can as like a human in society,
Definitely. Well, but also take the advice of medical professionals. Don't just Google things on the internet and be like, nope, that's not for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's why it's important to find specialists too, and like second opinions, because you can go to a doctor that tells you like you need to eat 10 apples, and you go to a doctor to say like, well, actually you're allergic to apples, so you shouldn't eat 10 apples. So it's really important to like do your due diligence for everything.
Get a third opinion if you really feel you need it.
Yeah, exactly.
Doctors are fallible humans too.
Yeah.
They make mistakes. I mean, that's why they're required to have malpractice insurance, because they may make a mistake.
Yeah.
But get as many fucking opinions as you need, but don't just like be like, I saw that on the internet, not doing this, or I saw that on the internet, I'm doing this, diving right in.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone has an opinion, and a lot of them stink.
Well, that's the thing about opinions. We all have them, and they're all individuals, so no one's going to love your opinion anyway because it's not theirs.
Right. You shouldn't just blindly, like, no one come to this show for medical opinions or advice. Like, I don't know shit. I am speaking out of my asshole for entertainment purposes. Do not take what I say to heart about anything. Consult professionals.
Exactly. Just like you would consult me about sucking dick.
Yeah. Consult Aria quite a bit about sucking dick. Like, if you're a lady out there and you need some advice, I'm sure Aria will be willing to help you out with it.
I'm the head doctor, okay?
We gotta get you like the stethoscope, like the old school doctor with the reflector.
Yeah. Perfect.
Aria Khaide, head doctor. But on that note, Aria, we're gonna call last call on this motherfucker. Get you out of here. I'm sure your children are probably beating down your door.
Yeah, Mama's got no kitties tonight. They're at with the babysitter, so Mama's just gonna get her drink on and
hell yeah. Well, Mama's gonna enjoy her drink, but where can they find Mama on all her things?
Yeah.
where can they find you on the socials, the OnlyFans, all that fun stuff?
So you can find me pretty much everywhere. Obviously, just Google me, you'll find me. My Twitter is Aria Khaide XXX. First, I'm going to spell my name, okay?
All right.
That's ARIA KHAIDE, and it's Aria Khaide. That's how you pronounce that. My Instagram is XO Aria Khaide. My OnlyFans is onlyfans.com/Aria Khaide. You can find me on ManyVids, Pornhub, Clips for Sale, Sext Panther if you want to chat with me. I take phone calls and texting, but I'm all over. And hopefully I am your screensaver and background on your phone.
Hell yeah. I'm sorry to say you're not mine, but yeah.
Whatever, I'll let you slide for right now.
I appreciate that. I can't play favorites like that. Like, I have to deal with a lot of people.
You haven't met me. Second place is first loser.
Oh shit. Well, we'll in time. For right now, I'm going to just keep it as my nice generic background and stay safe from everyone else I have on the show.
For the kiddies, right? Like the hang in their tat. Exactly.
But as always, you can find me at Matt_Slayer on Twitter, Matt Slayer on Instagram, Matt F. Slayer on Facebook, twitch.tv/Matt F. Slayer. You can find the podcast at And Now We Drink on Twitter, and Now We Drink _ on Instagram. And until next week, drink up, motherfuckers. Aria, it was a goddamn pleasure.
Woo, cheers. Thank you so much for having me.